Today, it's almost impossible to imagine the Beatles as anything other than legends. But before the screaming crowds, #1 records, and worldwide fame, they were simply four young musicians from Liverpool trying to prove that they belonged. And one of the songs that would change everything almost never sounded the way we know it today.
A song called Please Please Me.
When the Beatles first entered the recording studio, they were still an unknown band trying to find their place. Their first single, Love Me Do, had given them some attention, but they were still far from becoming the biggest band in the world. Much of what happened next came down to producer George Martin. At a time when record companies were reluctant to invest in an unproven group, Martin was willing to give the Beatles a chance. Ringo Starr later remembered just how important that opportunity was. I personally love George Martin because he gave us a shot at putting down on a piece of vinyl. But Martin wasn't convinced that everything the Beatles brought into the studio was ready. Please Please Me was one of those songs. John Lennon had written it while thinking about the dramatic style of Roy Orbison, whose records had made a strong impression on him. Lennon also remembered the influence of Bing Crosby, particularly the way certain phrases could be repeated to create a memorable hook. That helped inspire the unusual title, Please Please Me. But the first version was considerably slower than the energetic recording fans would eventually know. George Martin reportedly wasn't impressed. He felt the song was too slow and lacked the excitement necessary to make it work as a single. At one point, he even suggested that the Beatles consider recording another song instead. For a young band still trying to establish itself, that could easily have been the end of the story. But Lennon and McCartney weren't prepared to abandon their own song. Instead, the Beatles changed it. They increased the tempo, tightened the arrangement, strengthened the harmonies, and gave the performance a much greater sense of urgency. Lennon added harmonica, while the entire band attacked the song with the energy that had already made them so popular on stage in Liverpool and Hamburg. Suddenly, Please Please Me sounded like something completely different, and that change mattered. The Beatles recorded the song in late 1962, and when it was released in Britain, it became the breakthrough they had been waiting for. It helped transform them from a promising Liverpool group into one of the most exciting new acts in Britain. But their next challenge was much bigger. The Beatles initially struggled to gain a foothold in the United States. American record companies showed little interest, and Please Please Me did not immediately become the sensation it would eventually become. The song was released in America by VJ Records, but its initial release failed to make a significant impact. Then, in 1964, everything changed. The Beatles arrived in America at the height of Beatlemania. Their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show turned them into a national phenomenon almost overnight, and suddenly American audiences wanted everything the band had recorded. Please Please Me was given another opportunity. This time, people were ready to listen. The song became part of the enormous wave of Beatles records sweeping across America, helping turn the band's early British success into international superstardom. Looking back, the story is almost ironic. One of the Beatles' most important early songs began with uncertainty. George Martin wasn't satisfied with the original arrangement. The band still had to prove itself in Britain. American record companies initially weren't interested, and the song itself had to be transformed before it became the record everyone remembers. But the Beatles didn't give up on it, and perhaps that's what makes Please Please Me so fascinating. It wasn't simply a perfect song that appeared fully formed. It was a song that the Beatles fought to make better. George Martin's criticism pushed them to rethink it. Lennon and McCartney's belief in their own songwriting kept it alive, and the band's raw energy turned it into something far more powerful than its original version. Please Please Me didn't just become a hit. It became one of the first major signs that the Beatles were about to change popular music forever. And before the world knew their name, that was exactly what they were trying to prove.